The immigration story of Arthur Bezludov is interesting and fascinating. Arthur was born on September 8, 1983, in Moscow, which is the capital of Russia. In Russia, a normal day would be waking up, going to school, and work. There would be also family time. Arthur used to travel to New York City on business trips, so he had an idea what New York City was like. This gave him a benefit after he immigrated because he wasn't surprised at the different ways people do things. While he was on those business trips, one of the big things that he did was finding a place for his family to live in. He had to type big between places like New Jersey because he worked there, also Connecticut and New York. He picked New York because New York City was one of the places that he would go to the most when he went to work. He picked Scarsdale because of its education, but also because living in the city with three children would be chaotic. He had concerns like his children didn't know any English, and nobody knew if they would like it here or not. On the other hand, he wanted to move because there were better opportunities for his children and better schools. He moved to America anyway because of his job, but he also wanted to compare the two lifestyles. He worked for a medical company that made pills for adults, and that company transferred him to the US. Unfortunately, Arthur's wife had trouble finding a job, but Arthur supported her through that period of time. When he first arrived, he noticed that he was used to how people talked and did things since he came to America before. Also, Russia and the US weren't that different, both large countries with a lot of people trying to get to school and work. He knew he had an option to go back and continue living in Russia, or he could visit a few times a year. After he arrived, it was a little hard for him to adjust to the new warmer climate, new country, and how people acted differently. For example, he needs to adjust to doing small talks when he meets new people or friends. Another example is adjusting to the new school district and how it worked. One of the big things that he needed to adjust to was speaking English to people around him and not Russian. There were some other small things that he needed to adjust to, but nothing bigger than speaking a different language. After he adjusted to the new country, he noticed that he mostly wanted to bring his friends and family other than his wife and children. He missed the opportunity of being together and having face to face conversations. Some of his noticing was that he always needed to stay flexible to the new environment, which made his transition easier. For example, Arthur had a routine in Russia every day, and the routine was normal and everyone was used to it. When Arthur moved, he needed to do a different routine to make his transition to the new country easier. Arthur also thought that raising a family in America is better than in Russia. His family and children were happy when they moved, and his children found new hobbies and new friends. His family also started eating new foods and trying out different sports like basketball and softball. He also noticed that when he spoke to people at his job or his friends, everyone had an accent like him. Because of this, he never felt alone or left out. He always thought positively, which helped him. Some of the things that he needed to adjust to, he didn't like, but over time he started to get used to them and enjoy it. This is the immigration story about Arthur Bezludov.